going to give you a modern-day Maserati, and I want you to turn it into that famous 200 miles an hour car. Can you do it?
I've got two guys actually in mind.
This is a job for crack engineering duo Shane and Dan.
What do you reckon we got? Oh, man.
It's an executive saloon engineered for comfort over speed. Getting this to go 200 miles per hour is going to need one hell of a plan.
Step one, we're going to rip out those turbos, replace them with some custom ones, and create some massive power.
A turbocharger is made up of a pair of turbines that harness waste exhaust from the back of an engine to push more air into the front. This extra air allows the cylinders to burn more fuel, meaning more speed.
Step two, we're going to reprogram the car's brain, the ECU. All engines need three things to run: air, fuel, and ignition. These three are monitored and regulated by the electronic control unit, the ECU. We're going to reprogram it for raw power and nothing else. Step three, to cope with that power, we need to put in some race suspension and uprated brakes. Maserati's suspension system has been built for comfort, but we're not interested in comfort. We're interested in speed. So we're going to replace the standard lot with race suspension. And that means stability when we're going fast. Step four, super styling for a supermodel. We need to mix retro and modern. I've had a new front end molded, and in that, some fog lights and a smaller grille, which both reflect cars from the 60s era. And lastly, we're going to vinyl wrap this car with some retro red.
First impressions, I think she is gorgeous. I love the kind of retro look. Can't wait to take her for a spin.
The 60s-inspired look of the car is just as important as its performance.
Take it easy now, all right?
Yeah, no, don't worry.
Steady on.
Don't worry. We're at 100 miles an hour already. This is like a race car. I really honestly did not think you'd be able to do it. I asked for a four-door ordinary saloon car to be turned into a race car, and after just having 10 laps in it, it drives fantastic. They did a really good job. Thank you. Bye.
Seize the day, Saturday nights at 6:35 on Nat Geo People.
Everything that I do that is creative, I do it to facilitate conservation. I do the campaigns I do because I feel like things within me are dying when things outside are. We operate in such an indulgent, self-oriented system. Wild always gets compromised. Wake up today and go out to any patch of wilderness you have in your life. And the minute you do that, there's something within you that will shift. You will wake up. Let the wild in.
If it is a lucky number, then this could be their lucky season.
Let the game begin.
But luck doesn't keep you alert in the wee hours.
We're going to hit.
Can't survive a 12-hour grudge match.
Don't lose this fish, come on!
My finger's completely off.
And it can't reel in a 1,000-pound behemoth.
Woo!
That's what these guys do. So leave your luck on the dock and get back to business. Wicked Tuna, Sunday nights at 9 on National Geographic.
Are you angry? Who gets to decide what's politically correct? Do you feel left out? What inspires you to speak out against hate? Are you sexist? Are immigrants threatening American jobs? Do you judge people based on their religion? Are we more divided than ever? Just loud.
I'm on my right, have to take a stand!
How can we find common ground?
brand new series, America Inside Out with Katie Couric. Sunday nights at 10 on National Geographic. China, a country with mesmerizing scenery. Hidden from view until now. From mega engineering feats to monuments from a distant past, National Geographic gives you a bird's eye view of this ancient superpower and its vision for the future. China from Above, Wednesday nights at 10 on National Geographic.
If you're trying to escape Earth, prepare for a big bang. We're attempting to make it to the deepest reaches of space.
Whoa!
By any means possible.
They cheated!
How far and how fast can we travel?
Fire! That's perfect!
What groundbreaking technologies will take us there?
This thing is massive. Wow.
Don't blink. Our voyage to the edge is closer than you realize. Our next big journey into space starts right here, with the test of the largest hydrogen-fueled rocket engine in the world.
The engine will burn about 100,000 gallons.
Wow, 100,000 gallons in about 3 minutes or so?
175 seconds.
But this is no preliminary test. No early stage research. It will show that this powerful engine is ready to launch rockets into space right now. And it's time to turn it on.
3, 2, 1. Mark.
We're headed off on a mission unlike any other. To escape Earth, travel to every part of the solar system, study our amazing cosmic neighborhood, and finally, see just how far in space we can reach.
The solar system is a really big place. The Voyager probes have been traveling since the 70s and are only now reaching the edges of the solar systems.
Now, that's very large, but it's minuscule compared to the size of the galaxy or the universe. It takes 8 minutes for light to get from the sun to the Earth. But it takes 100,000 years for light to go across just our galaxy. The next nearest full galaxy is the Andromeda Galaxy. That's 2.5 million light years away.
So where does this journey begin? Before testing a rocket engine, we need to check out our fuel options. And there's a lot to choose from. So how do we know what makes the best fuels? Theoretical physicist David Kaplan and mechanical engineer and astronaut Mike Massimino are ready to test a few recipes with dueling cannons set up by scientist Steve Jacobs.
Do you recognize what these are?
Giant salami holders.
Well, that could be, but
You're right.
they're actually rocket fuel test cannons. And I have two cannons. I have a liquid fuel cannon
Okay.
and a solid fuel cannon.
All right.
We're going to use some gasoline because it's a very common fuel.
Okay, we use that all the time.
And then here we're going to use black powder. We're going to use some flash powder, which I like because it's used in fireworks today.
A high-speed camera will capture the cannon shots as they travel in front of this backdrop. Each stripe is 1 foot wide, making it easy to calculate the speed for every firing. A pane of glass at the end is the finish line, but there's one last step.
So where am I going to be?
You're going to be on the hill. What you have to do is watch where the ball impacts the hill, and then put a flag down where it rolls up to.
And then we can figure out how high it goes up.
Absolutely right.
So the reason I'm putting flags on the hill is actually the faster it's going, the farther it'll roll up the hill. That's kinetic energy turning into potential energy.
Chemically fair.
For this battle, each fuel has its own strengths. Solid fuels, like the powders, are more stable, while liquid fuels can be turned on and off for variable thrust. But which holds the most power? David is staying safely out of the line of fire.
Should we use the walkie-talkie?
But he'll be ready to mark the final distance when the cannonballs reach the hill.
All right, Jake, so what fuel are we going to use first?
We're going to use black powder.
We've got the gunpowder.
Gunpowder.
We've got the fuse.
Fuse.
We've got the cannonball.
They're all in there.
They're having a great time, and I'm here on the hill, holding some flags.
The magic button, don't touch it.
Magic button.
And I've got right here the safety switch.
All right.
I'm going to flip this and arm it. Red light's on, we're armed.
3, 2, 1.
I think this is going to work.
Ignition!
Whoa!
What's Dave doing way over there?
Wow. All right. Saw it. I got it.
We're closer to it than he is.
I know.
The first fuel, gunpowder, carried a pretty hefty bang. But the next solid fuel, flash powder, could blow it away. It's used in today's pyrotechnics.
Now, flash powder burns at a different rate than black powder, and it has a different fuel and a different oxidizer.
All right.
So we're just going to see if it's the same as black powder or more or less. Are you ready up on the hill?
Ready on the hill?
3, 2,
1, fire! Whoa! Wow, look at it! Look at it! Holy!
Basically, all that kinetic energy got transferred into potential, and it fought gravity. It almost cleared the hill, basically.
A bigger blast and longer distance. The flash powder could be the one to beat. But how will the liquid fuel fare?
All right, Jake.
Yeah.
Those are our 2 solid fuels. And now it's time to move on to the liquid fuels.
Yeah, you're getting excited. There wasn't.
Yes, this is getting better each time.
For the third and final test, Mike and Steve will be using gasoline as their fuel.
Okay, there we go. Here
Yeah.
it goes. This is number 3. Be ready.
Hey, wake up!
Arm.
3, 2, 1. Lift off.
Whoa!
Oh, you hit the tree, man. You hit
We
the
hit
tree.
the tree?
Oh, man, I hit the tree.
Do we get points for that?
Since the final shot hit the tree, David can't mark where the cannonball would have landed or measure how far it traveled.
Well, we can't do that measurement.
The only way to know which shot had the most power now is for David to crunch the numbers.
Now we have the high-speed footage, so we can actually do a calculation and figure out which cannonball was going the fastest and which fuel packs the most punch. And hopefully that's the reason they brought me here.
Delta T, that's the time David is calculating right now. If you were here, you would smell the smoke. His distance is coming out of his ears. It's David thinking right now as he's going over these numbers and calculating.
That's how many feet per second, and then we'll convert it to miles. How many miles a second? Yes!
What did you find out, Professor?
Well, okay, what was the first one?
Black powder.
205 feet per second, or
Wow, it's traveling.
139 miles an hour.
Fast.
That was fast. That was fast. All right, what was number 2?
Remember flash powder?
Flash powder.
Flash powder, 142 miles an hour.
Okay.
Okay, last one. What was the last one?
That was gasoline.
Gasoline.
That was very powerful.
222 feet per second, which was 151 miles an hour. So the winner is
Gasoline.
gasoline.
Liquid fuels.
While it was close, the gasoline, a liquid fuel, won the day. And this demonstrates a general rule of rocket science. Liquid fuels usually have the most bang for their buck. This is because molecules in liquid are free to move around, while molecules in a solid are fixed in place.
What we saw was gasoline contains more energy per volume than these other fuels. But to get into space, we're going to need something a lot more powerful.
Currently, NASA's most reliable choice for power is the potent mix of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. The two are combined, then ignited to produce a massive blast that propels huge rockets like the Delta IV, used to launch satellites into orbit. But you don't just need fuel for a rocket, you need an engine. And at the NASA Stennis Space Center in Mississippi, they're about to perform a highly anticipated final test for the largest hydrogen-powered engine in the world. And astronomer Andy Howell is getting special authorization to get up close.
There's a lot of rocket engines here. This is pretty impressive. What's this one?
This is the R-68 engine. This is the booster propulsion for the Delta IV launch vehicle. This engine is about 17 feet tall, and it weighs around 15,000 pounds.
Wow.
And it's the same kind of engine that you'll see tested today.
The stakes are high here. These are basically controlled explosions.
We don't even like to use the word explosion in our vocabulary. When we're in the launch process, failure is not an option.
This place is amazing.
What do you say we go see a test?
Let's do it.
For security and safety reasons, Andy will be watching from one of Stennis's viewing platforms.
So what's the purpose of the test today?
We're preparing for an R-68 rocket engine test. And what we do after we build the engine, it comes out here to the test stand. And so this is its final verification that it was built correctly, so when it flies, it's ready to go.
And speaking of ready to go, this rocket engine is about to take its final exam.
3, 2, 1. Mark.
Emery 17, we have an emergency.
Air Crash Investigation is back with a brand new season. From the VSS Enterprise crash to Malaysian Airlines Flight 17 takedown, investigators look beneath the surface to uncover what really went wrong. Brand new season, Air Crash Investigation, tonight at 11 on National Geographic.
Asia's next top model grand premiere, August 22nd, Wednesday, on Fox Life. Sponsored by Motor Image Subaru, symmetrical all-wheel drive, giving you confidence on the road.
How many hotels?
Heroes, answer. Will you?
Assemble your squad. Defend the Earth. Marvel Strike Force. Download now for free.
This August, feel the intensity with SCM. Get excited by John Woo's signature gunfight.
We're stuck together. I guess it's a fight.
Manhunt. Enjoy the laughter from a love romance.
伯母你好，
还叫伯母啊？
谢谢妈咪。
这有关。
In a beautiful moment. This August, get ready for summer Gala, only on SCM.
Singapore faces a growing resource challenge.
We have managed to develop Singapore in a pretty sustainable way.
To adapt, this island nation must plan and invest in new technology and research.
We grow impossible products in impossible places.
Paving the way towards a brighter future. City of the Future, Singapore, premieres Saturday, August 18th at 8 p.m. on National Geographic.
There's a storm on its way.
Are you gutsy enough to tackle these treacherous tasks?
One little mistake, and you're gone.
Every Tuesday, these daredevils show you what true grit is made of.
You gotta be pretty well determined to do what you gotta do and not give up on it.
Oh, yeah! Tough Tuesday. Next on National Geographic.
To find the peak technology that will let us escape Earth, we started by looking at some of the best fuels and engines in use today. And at NASA's Stennis Space Center, one rocket engine test has Andy eager to see this power in action.
3, 2, 1, mark. That is spectacular.
That's what it's all about.
You think it's so much closer than in a launch.
You see it, you feel it, you hear it.
Yeah, that is just incredible.
It's always something to come out and see one.
So we saw a big orange glow, and then the plume sort of shot out to the side.
What you're seeing with the flame was the liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen igniting. All the steam that you're seeing was we're pumping 26,000 gallons of liquid oxygen and about 68,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen.
Amazing that making water can send you to space.
Exactly.
It just blows my mind.
This potent fuel and a powerful engine are the key components for some of the premier rockets getting us into space today. But all this power comes with a hefty price tag, and it multiplies every time we launch a rocket.
Right now, getting to space is expensive, it's dangerous, it takes a lot of money.
But what if there was a better option?
With a space elevator, everything is cheaper, easier, more reliable. And that can really revolutionize space.
That's right, a space elevator, which would allow for frequent round trips that could be up to 100 times cheaper than launching a rocket. It all starts with the elevator cable, lowered from a ship orbiting Earth. It stretches over 20,000 miles long and connects to a docking station in the middle of the ocean. Once attached, the cable is ready for the elevator itself. This module will literally climb the cable, powered the entire way by a beam of laser light. The elevator could ferry building materials, supplies, and people from an Earth station to a space station.
It costs a lot to get things into space because you expend an enormous amount of fuel to get there. If you had a space elevator, if you could actually construct one of these things, it would help economically to move things into space.
But if we want to open this enormous gateway to space and put rocket launchers on the back burner, we need a big upgrade in technology. And Sigrid Close is about to find out this concept isn't a fantasy. At Laser Motive in Seattle, Washington, they've already built a prototype.
This this is Otis. Otis is autonomous robotic vehicle. So this is the world's first space elevator. This is the receiver for the light energy that we produce from the laser. This takes the photons, and we take that energy and we bring it up to a board where we drive the motor.
This works a lot like solar panels do for homes. Except instead of sunlight, it turns laser light into electricity.
We transfer that energy into a set of wheels. These are inline skate wheels.
Your ski wheels.
This is a two-wheel drive to grip the steel cable that we climb.
This prototype would work the same way as the space elevator, sending this platform up a cable. And this version is so good at it, it won a prize from NASA in 2009.
So Dave, I would love to actually see Otis climb with
We can put Otis on the treadmill and run it with a laser.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, Dave, can you explain this setup?
Because we can't hang Otis from something a kilometer high and do testing, we fix Otis in position and we drive the cable through it.
So we're going to simulate what it's like if it were to be climbing up a space elevator.
That is correct.
I would love to see this.
Let's go see.
Okay. We're going to make Otis move up, basically the same way that we would lift a vehicle into space on a space elevator. The laser is unbelievably powerful. It has about the power of 1 million laser pointers. And we're going to fog up the room so that we can really see where the lasers are pointing. So Dave, we have an incredible amount of haze in this room. Are we finally ready to fire up this laser?
I think we are. Just push that lever up. And
I get to do it?
You get to launch it.
Yay!
You bet.
Okay, great.
We're all set? Okay, we'll get the house lights off, please. And lasers on, please. Go ahead.
Okay.
There you go.
He's climbing. So how fast is Otis moving?
About 11 miles an hour straight up. Otis is a good robot.
In this simulation, if Otis were a real elevator, he would have opened his doors more than twice as high as the Empire State Building. But even though our elevator's power source is well on its way to becoming a reality, what will it be climbing? At over 20,000 miles in length, its cable is going to have to be more durable than anything around.
One of the hard parts of constructing a space elevator is that you got to get incredibly strong material. And until recently, people thought it was just kind of science fiction.
But one emerging technology is turning science fiction into science fact. Carbon nanotubes. And at the University of Texas at Dallas, David Kaplan is seeing how a little of their magic can go a long way.
I am levitating this boot. Okay, I'm not levitating the boot. I am actually holding the boot up using a fiber, a yarn created from carbon nanotubes.
Nanotubes are actually carbon atoms that accumulate and begin growing taller. But to make them the right way, you need a very specific recipe.
So what are we cooking today?
We're cooking iron nanotubes.
So how do you cook nanotubes?
In our case, we use iron. We introduce it into our furnace,
Okay.
and then we introduce the hydrocarbon gas.
Ah, so there's a gas of carbon in there,
Right?
and it somehow attaches to the iron?
Yes, because of the high temperature, our smooth surface is going to turn into little seeds.
And then you grow these tubes from those seeds,
Eventually, they will grow into a tube-like,
like a real tree.
like a real tree. But then we have so many of them, it just looks like a forest.
Wow, that really is a forest. So the carbon nanotubes are small, but if you think about the width of the nanotube, 20 nanometers, which is roughly 100 or so atoms. Compare that to the actual length they can get in these labs, which is about 1 millimeter. That comparison is like a tree which grows to be 1 mile tall. All right, you said we can play with this stuff.
Yes.
Wow. So when I pulled that material off the wafer, I got this very airy-looking, floaty material, which was very beautiful, but hard to manage. It's lighter than air, but pound for pound, it's stronger than steel?
Yes.
This is not a very useful form. We now want to get that material into a manageable state.
That's the challenge currently being tackled. Individual nanotubes are incredibly strong on a small scale. But for the size of an elevator cable, they're not strong enough yet.
What we're seeing here now is that the forest has been attached to this basic printer. And the idea is if you can make large objects out of this incredibly dense and strong material, you could perhaps build something as crazy as a space elevator, but this would be the jumping off point.
Once it's actually constructed, we could be sending up objects into orbit all the time. It would be very advantageous if we had something like that.
Having a permanent docking hub in space would extend our reach into the cosmos, and very beneficial to going even deeper. But to do that, we have to connect this station to others further out in space. And that requires mastering a technique so sensitive that getting it wrong can destroy everything we've built in seconds. Our journey to reach deeper into space than ever before has found powerful and efficient ways to get us off of Earth. But this expedition is just beginning, and there's a harsh reality ahead. Reaching our destination is going to be no stroll through the solar system.
The next issue we have to deal with is docking the spacecraft with other spacecraft out there. You have two very heavy bodies that are moving potentially very fast, and you need to land them into each other without crashing.
Docking may look like a slow, easy process.
Initiating docking sequence. Target acquired.
But any craft connecting to a space station is a dangerous scenario.
10 feet closing. This seems a little fast. Did you read the target correctly? Not sure. 3 feet closing, 0.14. One braking pulse now. Way too fast. More braking.
4 inches. 2 inches.
It looks like just a bump. But the spacecraft and station could end up depressurized and critically damaged.
The only way to avoid a collision in space is to practice. Make sure you know what you're doing so that bad thing doesn't happen on the big day.
There's a storm on its way.
Are you gutsy enough to tackle these treacherous tasks?
One little mistake and you're gone.
Every Tuesday, these daredevils show you what true grit is made of.
You gotta be pretty well determined to do what you gotta do and not give up on it.
Oh, yeah! Tough Tuesday. Next on National Geographic. With a skyscraper built almost every 4 days. Massive cities popping up with an eye to the future. And over 20,000 kilometers of high-speed rail, China is transcending expectations. Join us as we go in search of inspiration. China Revealed, Saturday nights at 7 on National Geographic.
How many hotels does Trivago compare? Go.
Next Top Model Grand Premiere, August 22nd, Wednesday, on Fox Life.
It's quite a sight. To go to Mars, that's like a dream. There's nothing around you except wilderness. You ready for this? Here we go.
Astronaut Mike Massimino is going to see if David Kaplan is up for the task.
So how do I do this?
Okay, you're going to be working that hand controller. That square is a translational hand controller.
Okay.
Yeah, pushing in is going to make you go faster. Pulling out is going to slow you down.
Okay.
Go to the left, right, go to the right. Up and down, and you do that by trying to fly that crosshair, that green crosshair, right into the center of the target that's located on the station.
Okay.
Look skeptical, you all right?
I'm ready.
Feeling confident?
It seems a little,
$100 billion. There's a lot of cash invested in the ISS. And at $1.7 billion, the space shuttle's not cheap either. And that's not even mentioning the lives of around a dozen crew members at stake also.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to start out. At about 30 feet or so, and I'm going to be telling you how fast you're going and how far we are away. And when you're down at 2 inches, you're going to hit that button.
At 2 inches?
At 2 inches away. And
This
it's gonna,
button?
Yeah, and it's going to fire some extra thrusters, which is going to give you an extra kick.
Okay.
All right? Pop you right into the grip of the station to lock us in. Simple, isn't it?
Well, we'll see.
Let's see what happens.
Zooming in.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, because we're moving in. If you, as long as you hit the gas.
Hit the gas.
There you go.
I think my son can do this better than me.
All right, you're 16 feet, 0.11. I know my son can do it better.
Oop, I went the wrong way.
Don't do that. The space station's right. Straight ahead.
Okay.
Now's a good time to say your prayers.
Say my prayers? Are we going to hit that thing?
I hope so, but not too hard.
Oh.
Just hard enough.
Though David's guiding the shuttle in towards the space station at just...
Yes.
Well done.
Woo! Yes.
Well done.
Woo!
Looks like you got it.
Holy cow.
Nicely done.
Thank you. All right, we docked. Now what?
You dock. So now we latch everything down, make sure we get a good seal.
Yeah.
Open up the hatch and go say hello. See who's on the other side.
We float in.
Float in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Space is cool. I like
Space is very cool. The tricky thing with docking is you want everything to be right. You want to be aligned. You want to be at the right speed. Be very, very careful. It is kind of like a controlled crash.
But if docking in space is like a controlled crash, trying to land on extraterrestrial soil is potentially like a high-speed car wreck. To ensure that no moon or planet is outside of our reach, our engineers are going to have to create the lander to end all landers.
Fire.
Racing towards deep space has provided its share of obstacles. But it turns out getting off planet might not be as hard as getting back on. The deeper in space we go, we will encounter all types of moons and planets that we'll want to explore, all with very different surfaces and atmospheres. And trying to land on them comes with an entirely new set of challenges.
Let's say you're landing on a planet that has no atmosphere. You can't use a parachute. Why? Because a parachute uses air resistance. But if there's no atmosphere, there's nothing to resist. So you would just be in free fall.
If a probe was trying to land on an alien moon, one without an atmosphere, it could be in big trouble. Its parachute never opens. Its last hope is a series of airbags. But when falling with this much speed, nothing will save it. And the mission is a failure. How can we avoid this crash and burn scenario? Engineers at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, are rising to the challenge.
Deep in the basement.
And David Kaplan is here to see if one of their latest solutions can stand on its own 2 feet. And this is that new technology. A lunar lander that uses compressed gas to slowly lower itself to the planet's surface.
And then one on the top.
So you're going to pull this thing up to the top of the net, release it, and you got 20 feet below you to the ground, and it's going to be in free fall until the thrusters come on.
That's right. As soon as we release it, the vehicle becomes active, and it'll autonomously lower itself down slowly.
So this thing is going to drop from 20 feet up, and while it's falling, you're going to rotate it 90 degrees before it hits the net.
Exactly right.
Got it.
Directional thrusters, controlled by an onboard computer, release blasts of pressurized air to both steer and control the lander's descent.
So do you know how much this whole thing weighs?
When it's full of air, about 500 pounds.
500 pounds. And the 500 pounds is going to land like a feather.
Yes.
Okay.
Can compressed air really stop this 500-pound prototype from becoming a piece of space junk?
So, are we ready to go?
We're just about ready to go.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, Patrick, let's start the countdown.
Nav, okay, we're ready to fire. Fire in 3, 2, 1, fire.
That was perfect. It actually fell like a feather. Not only did it fall, but it turned itself 90 degrees and landed beautifully onto the net. That was cool.
But when trying to get off our planet and explore new territory, landing is just the first part of a lengthy process. Next up will be exploring, to learn more about what makes up our lunar and planetary neighbors.
There are very exciting places that we can explore in our solar system. Mars, for example, has these vast deserts. May once have had oceans, may once have had life.
2 rovers, Spirit and Opportunity, have explored over 20 miles of the Martian surface, but they are extremely vulnerable to the terrain. Spirit's mission ended when they got stuck in Martian sand. To do more detailed exploration, we need better and more rugged vehicles. And NASA scientist Isa Nesnas thinks one of their new creations, the Axel rover, is just the right tool for the job. Sigrid Close is coming along for the ride.
So this is the exit rover. We are hoping that potential targets for this could be the moon, as well as exploring challenging terrain on Mars.
What is the definition of challenging terrain? Like, what are we talking about? How steep?
Slopes, like you see in the background here, are very challenging for the rovers today.
But how does a rover that looks like this get down a cliff like this? What Sigrid doesn't know is that the rover is full of tricks. It has a secret ability that will bring challenging high-risk terrain spread throughout the solar system right within our grasp. On our journey deeper into the cosmos, we've escaped Earth, mastered docking in space,
2 inches, hit it. Oh, very nice.
and landed on planets and moons.
That was perfect.
But once we reach these destinations, they won't come with paved highways or hazard signs. To trek across these surfaces, we'll need technology that isn't easily intimidated. And Sigrid Close is meeting what could be NASA's ace in the hole, the Axel rover.
I'm going to put the pressure on, okay?
Okay.
I want to see if this rover can get to the bottom of the cliff before I do. So he's going to go down this way. I'm going to go down a different way. See who's going to get there first.
This is actually a pretty rough slope for it.
Okay.
That's the kind of extreme terrain we designed this thing for. So let's take the shortcut and see who wins.
Okay, I think it's going to be me. I'm going to kick some rover butt.
All right, let's see.
All right.
Challenge is on.
The race is on. But the rover is about to unleash its hidden ability.
So I'm reaching the turn in the path, which is also the halfway point. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to see the rover, but I'm hopeful that I'm still in front. Clearly the rover beat me, but it cheated!
No, Axel didn't cheat. Axel's designed to handle these very tough terrains. So when you saw Axel up at the top of the cliff, it was in a four-wheel configuration, which is good for traveling for long distances. But when it reaches a rough terrain, then it's supposed to split apart, so this very maneuverable two-wheeled component can actually come down using the tether, the arm, and the complicated wheels to negotiate the very difficult-to-reach terrain.
It's the ideal form of twins. While one two-wheeled component acts like an anchor at the top, the other two-wheeler gets to travel up, down, and around wherever it can reach.
Joel, this is fantastic engineering. Congratulations for beating me, but I still think you cheated.
Well, on a real mission, Axel not only has to come down a complex terrain like this and do some science, it actually has to go back up, and you're welcome to try to race it to the top as well.
No, thank you. I lost once. I don't want to lose again.
Nearby planets and moons represent ideal targets for our exploration. But if we want to set our sights further to the outer reaches of our solar system, we'll need something bigger to tackle these gargantuan distances.
You just can't say, okay, here I go, and I'm on my way. You want to launch those vehicles, those rockets, without burning too much fuel. You really want to make sure that you're using all the advantages that nature can provide.
Advantages like gravity.
There's a lot of moving bodies in the solar system. Some are moving very fast. Now, the motion actually could help you propel the spacecraft because you can take advantage of the gravitational field around these objects and use some of that energy to propel faster.
This maneuver is called a gravity assist. And the key to it is motion. If a planet or moon wasn't moving in space, its gravity would speed up a spacecraft as it approached. but then slow it down as it left. But since all planets and moons are on the move, their orbital motion can be used to send a spacecraft off on a high-velocity shot that far exceeds the craft's normal pace.
A lot of people think you just gain speed by whipping around the planet. Really, you're getting the extra speed from the orbital motion of the planet.
Channeling the mighty gravitational power of planets is a good trick. But we're going to need our own massive power source if we hope to travel the enormous distances in space. A surprising solution is going to bring us full circle to a rocket that outdoes them all.
Saturday.
The first stealth submarine in history.
An invisible Nazi U-boat. Unprecedented. Lethal.
He gets into the English Channel, and in 5 days, he sinks 4 ships.
What cloaked this killer sub, and what brought it down?
These came as a nasty surprise.
Drain the Oceans. Saturday night at 10 on National Geographic.
How many hotels does Trivago compare? 1,000? 30,000? 200,000? 900,000? Trivago now compares prices from over 1 million hotels to find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
Singapore faces a growing resource challenge.
We have managed to develop Singapore in a pretty sustainable way.
To adapt, this island nation must plan and invest in new technology and research.
We grow impossible products in impossible places.
Paving the way towards a brighter future. City of the Future, Singapore, premieres Saturday, August 18th at 8 p.m. on National Geographic. This August, we traverse the world on National Geographic. Katie Couric tackles some of the most controversial issues in America today. America Inside Out with Katie Couric. Join an epic journey by air, showcasing China's staggering landscapes and infrastructure. China from above. Using advanced technology, we reveal the ocean floors of the world. Drain the oceans. Traverse the world this August with National Geographic.
I made a journey to go visit my mother, and on my way home, I met my kid sister carrying wood. When she saw me, she started crying. She was tired of missing school at least twice a week to go gather wood for my family. She inspired me to think about an alternative source of fuel. Now I am the CEO of EcoFuel Africa. We figured out how to turn farm waste like sugarcane waste, coffee husks, corn waste into clean cooking fuel. We are stopping deforestation, stopping indoor air pollution, and enabling farmers and women to earn a living. More kids are in school getting the education they need. I only look at myself as an everyday community guy trying to make his community a little bit better.
There's a storm on its way.
Are you gutsy enough to tackle these treacherous tasks?
One little mistake and you're gone.
Every Tuesday, these daredevils show you what true grit is made of.
You gotta be pretty well determined to do what you gotta do and not give up on it.
Oh, yeah! Tough Tuesday. Next on National Geographic.
Powerful rocket engines and gravity slingshots are spectacular tactics in space travel today. But there's a monumental technology out there that has the potential to push us farther than ever before. A rocket powered by the fourth state of matter, plasma.
Plasma is just ionized gas. You just basically heat up gas. I mean, this is kind of what happens in lightning. Get stuff hot enough, and those electrons do not like to stick to the nucleus of the atom, and they just zip off.
And Sigrid Close is about to see that plasma is building the type of power that could open up space in a way we've never seen before at the Ad Astra Rocket Company with Dr. Leonard Cassidy.
Okay, Leonard, here is the Basmer VX200. So in a chemical rocket, I could get my mind around that, right? That's just basically an explosion. We've been using chemical rockets for over 50 years. So how does your rocket compare to traditional rockets?
This is different in that we don't use a chemical reaction to produce the energy that turns into thrust. We take the energy from an electric power source and put it into a gas, and then we accelerate it.
So instead of creating a combustion explosion, this engine uses electricity to heat up a gas and magnets to turn that superheated plasma into a powerful jet.
And the magnetic field basically makes sure that it goes where you want it to go.
That's right. It guides the plasma.
This complicated process can produce thrusts that will last longer than any of our current chemical rockets. As the engine powers up, argon gas is fed into an ionization chamber, which turns the gas into plasma. Normally, this plasma would vaporize anything it touches, but a series of superconducting magnets hold the plasma in the center, guiding it towards the nozzle. There, it's heated up millions of degrees, and then shot out the back in a jet, creating incredible propulsion. But before this rocket can make it into space, it has to be tested here on Earth in a vacuum chamber so large you could fit a school bus inside it.
This is a very big chamber.
The 14-foot diameter chamber will simulate the vacuum of...
Yes, we can.
Let's do it.
The creator of this powerful concept is former astronaut Franklin Chang Diaz. And if this test goes well, he's got big plans for the future.
How does your rocket compare with a chemical rocket in terms of how long it would actually take to get to Mars?
Well, the Casimir goes much faster. Typically, we would go as fast as 39 days.
39 days with your rocket. How long would a chemical rocket take?
Typically, a chemical rocket will take on the order of 7 to 8 months.
So that's less than a quarter of the time. I could see why astronauts would be really interested in this.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about destinations and, we're going to the stars.
But before the rocket can go to the stars,
Engage.
it needs to be tested.
Now hit the arm button and let everybody know that you're arming it.
Arming!
You can go ahead and hit the pulse button.
Okay. Pulse!
With just the push of a button, the rocket engine fires.
All right.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Emitting a continuous jet of plasma.
Wow, it's blue.
We got plasma. Blue's actually the color of ionized argon, and that's what we want to be making with these shots. So it turning blue shows us that we're doing it right.
The next step for this amazing technology is an actual space test. And Chang Diaz has an agreement with NASA to bring it to the International Space Station. If the engine is successful in those tests, suddenly the prospects of reaching Mars and beyond are very real.
We will get more efficient in navigating space as our rocket technology improves and we're able to get places more quickly. We've progressed a long way, but it would be nice to get to that next step.
When I was 5 years old, I used to go outside and look up at the stars and just be completely overwhelmed with the possibilities up there. Our species has such a history of exploration. We're always pushing ourselves to go further. We have to be planning for that future.
There's great things out there, And we need to get off of the Earth and start going and finding that stuff. Our ultimate destiny is in space.